The feeling of emptiness is not uncommon. It whispers in the quiet moments when the noise of the world fades and you're left alone with your thoughts. It creeps in during the night when the distractions fall away and the silence wraps around you like a heavy cloak. It's not rare, and it's not a sign of weakness. It's a signal, a cry from the soul that something deeper is calling out. There are many who walk through life smiling on the outside, yet hollow within. They go through the motions, they laugh at the right times, they show up when they're supposed to, but inside there's a dull ache, a quiet question that never seems to go away. Is this all there is? It's a feeling that haunts people of all backgrounds, young or old, rich or poor, successful or struggling. No one is immune to it. It doesn't respect social status, education, or experience. You can achieve everything the world says you should want and still find yourself lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering why none of it seems to mean anything. And if you feel that way right now, you're not alone. You're not strange. You're not broken. You're just a human being with a soul that was created for more than what this world has to offer. That emptiness, that's the evidence. It's not a curse, it's a compass. It's pointing you towards something greater. The world is filled with voices that try to tell you how to fix that emptiness. Buy this, experience that, follow your passion, climb higher, be better. But no matter how many boxes you check off, no matter how many goals you reach, the feeling returns. You can fill your days with pleasure, achievement, noise, even people, but none of it reaches the core of who you are. Because the soul can't be satisfied with surface things. Some try to numb the ache. They bury it under work or entertainment or substances. They try to silence it with busy schedules and endless pursuits. But when the dust settles, when the adrenaline fades, there it is again. That familiar void, that gnawing sense that something's still missing. And here's the truth that many are too afraid to say out loud. The emptiness isn't a problem to be fixed. It's a message to be heard. It's a sacred invitation to stop, to reflect, and to ask the deeper questions. Why am I here? What is my life really about? Where do I find peace that lasts? These aren't just philosophical questions. They are the cries of the soul searching for home. You see, we were never meant to live disconnected from our Creator. We weren't designed to chase after shadows and call them substance. There's a reason why nothing on earth can truly satisfy us. It wasn't meant to. That space inside you, the one that aches for meaning, is shaped for something eternal. And until you connect with that truth, everything else will feel like a temporary bandage on a deep wound. So if you feel empty, don't ignore it. Don't run from it. Don't label yourself as lost or hopeless. That emptiness is a sign that your heart is still alive. It's not dead. It's still searching, still reaching, still longing. And that longing is sacred. It means you're not numb. It means you're not done. It means there's more for you than what you've known so far. You were made for connection, for purpose, for peace that doesn't depend on circumstances. The emptiness you feel isn't trying to destroy you, it's trying to wake you up. The world is quick to offer solutions, quick to hand you a prescription, a promotion, a product, a promise. Everywhere you look, something is being sold, not just in stores, but in ideas, in lifestyles, in dreams. This will make you happy. This will make you whole. This is what you've been missing. And for a moment, maybe it works. You feel a lift, a spark, a sense that maybe, just maybe, this is it. But then, like everything else before it, the feeling fades. The glow wears off. The thing that promised fulfillment becomes just another possession, another memory, another step on the treadmill of desire. The world knows how to dress up the temporary and call it truth. It packages distraction as peace, pleasure as purpose, busyness as meaning. And it's not that these things are evil in themselves. It's that they were never meant to carry the weight of your soul. They were never meant to be the foundation of your identity. You weren't created to live off of surface level satisfaction. You were created for something deeper. Yet time and time again, people run to what they can see, touch, and control. When life feels out of balance, we reach for what feels immediate. We chase achievement, thinking success will quiet the restlessness inside. We pursue relationships, thinking love from others will heal the emptiness. We scroll endlessly, hoping to numb the ache. But these things, no matter how good they seem in the moment, are like drinking salt water. The more you take in, the thirstier you become. Fame fades, money runs out, looks change, people leave, circumstances shift. Nothing the world offers is guaranteed to last. And deep down, we all know it. We know that the applause doesn't echo forever. We know that after the high, there's always a low. After the mountain, there's always a valley. Still, we keep going back, hoping that maybe this time it will be different. Maybe this time the fix will last. The danger is not in having things, but in believing that things are enough. The danger is in letting the temporary steal your focus from the eternal. When you put your trust in what you can lose, you're always one bad day away from crumbling. And that's what so many live with, a constant, quiet fear that everything could fall apart. Because it can, and it does. And when it does, the soul that has built itself on the sand of the world finds itself collapsing under the weight of reality. We live in a culture that tells you to look outward for validation and inward for strength. But what happens when the outward world fails you and the inward voice is tired and confused? What happens when the temporary pleasures stop working and the inner peace never shows up? The world won't tell you what to do then. It has no answer for the deep cries of the heart. It has no remedy for the soul that longs for something beyond what it can buy or achieve. Many spend years, decades even, collecting accomplishments, experiences, and possessions, only to realize too late that none of it reached the place that needed healing. None of it answered the real questions. None of it touched the eternal part of who they are. And still the advertisements roll on. The pressure continues. The illusion persists that if you just try harder, if you just get the right combination of success, relationships, and recognition, you'll finally arrive. But there is no arrival when the road is built on shifting ground. The world gives you tools to decorate your life, but not to anchor your soul. It teaches you how to look successful, but not how to be whole. It celebrates the highlight reel, but ignores the quiet suffering that plays behind the scenes. And in that suffering, people often begin to see the truth, that they've spent their strength chasing shadows while the light was calling all along. There is a greater purpose beyond what you see. Life is more than what meets the eye, more than the repetition of daily routines and the pursuit of personal goals. It's easy to get caught in the visible, the deadlines, the bills, the relationships, the responsibilities. We wake up, we work, we eat, we sleep, and then we do it all over again. And after a while, we begin to wonder if that's all there is. We begin to question the point of it all. But what if this life, this ordinary, messy, beautiful, painful life, is actually woven with divine intention? What if the things that seem random are actually stitched together by unseen hands? From the outside, it might look like your life is just a series of events, some good, some bad, some confusing, some triumphant, but beneath the surface, something deeper is happening, something sacred, something eternal. You were not put on this earth by accident. You were not born at the wrong time. You were not overlooked, forgotten, or misplaced. There is a reason you are here. There is a reason you've walked through what you've walked through. Even the things that didn't make sense. Even the pain that felt unbearable. Even the seasons where you thought nothing was happening at all. Every moment, every encounter, every failure, every tear, none of it is wasted. You see, we often define purpose by what we can measure. We think purpose means having a platform, a title, a following, a 5-year plan. But real purpose isn't always loud. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it hides in the background of the ordinary. It shows up in the quiet choices, the moments of kindness, the acts of courage no one else sees. It lives in the decision to keep going when everything in you wants to give up. It breathes in the patience of waiting, in the humility of serving, in the unseen sacrifices made out of love. The world tells you to make something of yourself, to prove your worth, to stand out. But real purpose is not about being impressive, it's about being faithful. Faithful to who you were created to be. Faithful to the people around you. Faithful to the deeper calling that keeps tugging at your heart, even when you can't quite explain it. Purpose is not something you invent. It's something you discover. And it's already been placed within you. Sometimes the greatest purpose is born out of the greatest pain. Sometimes the clearest calling comes after the deepest confusion. When everything falls apart, when you feel stripped of your identity, when the dreams you built crumble in your hands, that's often when your true calling begins to rise. Not because the pain is good, but because purpose has a way of breaking through when everything else is silent. In those moments, you begin to realize that you're part of something bigger. That your life is not just about you, but about how you impact others. How you reflect light in dark places. How you bring hope where there's despair. You weren't made just to exist. You were made to matter. You weren't designed just to survive. You were designed to walk in purpose. That longing in your chest, the one that tells you there has to be more, that's not foolishness. That's not fantasy. That's the truth calling you home. Because there is more. There's more than the struggle, more than the routine, more than the setbacks. There's a story being written that you can't always see with your eyes, but your heart knows it, your soul can feel it. Even when you don't understand the chapter you're in, the author still knows the ending. Even when you feel lost in the details, there's a design behind it all. You don't have to have it all figured out to be walking in purpose. You don't need a spotlight or a perfect plan. You just need a willingness to believe that your life is not meaningless, that your journey is not random, that even in the confusion, even in the waiting, even in the struggle, your steps are being guided by something higher than circumstance and stronger than chance. When you're at your lowest, you're in the perfect position to look up. It's a strange truth, one that many don't realize until they've hit the bottom. When everything around you starts to crumble, when the relationships fail, when the job is lost, when the dreams fall apart, when the silence becomes deafening, that's often the moment something deeper begins to stir. It's not that pain is good, but it has a way of waking you up. It strips away the illusions, the distractions, the things you thought were holding you together, but were only holding you back. In the lowest places, you see life for what it truly is, and sometimes that's where you start to see what really matters. People spend so much of life trying to avoid the low places. They avoid discomfort, avoid failure, avoid admitting weakness. But those moments, the ones we run from, can be the very ground where healing begins. Because when you're at the bottom, you stop pretending. You stop performing. You stop trying to impress people who never really saw you anyway. You stop chasing the things that never satisfied you. And in that space, in that raw, honest moment, your heart becomes open. Open to truth. Open to grace. Open to a strength that doesn't come from yourself. When you've got nothing left, that's when you're finally ready to receive something more. Not because you earn it, but because you've stopped trying to earn it. You've stopped pretending you can fix it all on your own. You've stopped carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. And in surrender, there's a strange kind of freedom. You stop running, you stop hiding, and you finally look up. Not out of habit, but out of desperation. And that kind of desperation is sacred. That's the moment many find what they'd been missing all along. It's in the valley, not the mountaintop, where the soul often meets its maker. It's in the brokenness, not the success, where character is shaped. It's in the midnight hour, not the bright noon, where light becomes precious. The lowest places are not where you're abandoned. They're often where you're being rebuilt. Because sometimes, in order to build a stronger foundation, the old one has to be torn down. Not to destroy you, but to prepare you for a deeper purpose, a deeper peace, a deeper relationship with the one who never left, even when you thought you were alone. People can fail you, systems can fail you, your own plans can fall apart in your hands. And when they do, when you're lying there in the rubble of what you thought your life would be, something unexpected can happen. You can begin to see differently. You begin to realize that you were never truly in control to begin with. And that's not a terrifying thing, it's a freeing thing. Because when you look up, you stop leaning on your own strength and you start leaning on something eternal. You begin to reach out, not because you're strong, but because you're weak, and you finally admit it. And that admission is not defeat. It's the doorway to real power. When everything you once leaned on is gone, when your confidence is shaken, when your pride is shattered, the soil of your soul becomes soft. And that soil, broken and turned over by pain, is the very place where new life can grow. Seeds of truth, seeds of hope, seeds of faith, they take root there. Not in the hard, untouched ground, but in the low places where the rain has soaked deep. You begin to realize that the lowest point isn't the end, it's the beginning of a new kind of strength. A strength not based on how much you can carry, but on how deeply you can trust. At your lowest, you don't need to have all the answers. You don't need a roadmap or a 10-step plan. You just need to be willing to lift your eyes, to stop looking around at the ruins and start looking up toward the hope that never dies. The same sky that watched you fall is the same sky that calls you forward. There is something greater than your failure, greater than your fear, greater than the moment you're in. But you won't see it if you keep looking down. You're never too far gone to be found. That may be hard to believe, especially when shame has wrapped itself around your soul like a heavy chain. When you look in the mirror and no longer recognize the person staring back at you, when your past screams louder than your present, and your future feels like nothing more than a distant shadow, it's easy to believe you're beyond reach. But feelings are not the final authority. They change with the wind, and they lie when you're most vulnerable. The truth remains steady and unmoved. You are not too far gone. There are moments in life when we drift, sometimes slowly, almost unnoticeably, and other times in a storm of rebellion, pain, or pride. We take one step off the path, then another, and before we know it, we've wandered far from where we began. We look back and can't see the place we started, and we look ahead and can't find a way forward. That's when despair creeps in and tells you that you've messed up too badly, wasted too much time, gone too deep into the darkness. But that voice is not the voice of truth. Because there is no depth so deep that grace cannot reach it. There is no distance too far that love cannot travel. The world is quick to label people by their failures. You make one mistake and it becomes your identity. You fall down and they write you off, but you are more than your worst moment. You are more than the lies you believe, more than the addiction that held you, more than the pain you caused or the pain you endured. You are still someone created with purpose, still someone who matters, still someone who can be restored. People might forget that, but heaven doesn't. There's a story unfolding in your life that isn't finished yet. You may feel like a lost cause, but the author of your story hasn't stopped writing. He hasn't thrown out the pages. He hasn't given up on you. In fact, he specializes in finding the lost, lifting the broken, restoring the rejected. It's not about what you deserve, it's about what love has already done. And real love doesn't quit when it gets messy. It walks straight into the mess and starts rebuilding what's been torn down. You may carry scars, some on the outside, many on the inside. Scars from choices you made, from people who hurt you, from chances you missed, and yet those scars do not disqualify you. In fact, they can become the evidence of grace, the proof that even in your wandering, even in your rebellion, you were never truly abandoned, because the pursuit never stopped. Even when you turned your back, even when you ran in the opposite direction, even when you cursed the sky and shut the door, still grace was following you. Not with condemnation, but with compassion. Not with shame, but with a quiet whisper, come home. There's no formula for being found. There's just an honesty. A moment where you stop pretending, stop hiding, stop running. A moment when you let the walls fall and the tears come. That moment of surrender is not weakness. It's the beginning of healing. Because only when you admit you're lost can you truly be found. And the beauty of being found is not just being rescued from where you are, but being restored into who you were meant to be. You may have broken things, relationships, trust, dreams, but broken doesn't mean destroyed. Broken can still be rebuilt. Broken can still be made new. Redemption doesn't ignore the past, it redeems it. It takes the pieces and forms something stronger than what stood before. That's what grace does. It doesn't erase your story, it rewrites it with hope. And no matter how far you think you've strayed, there's still a way back. Not because you're strong enough, but because love is relentless enough. Not because you deserve it, but because you're still worth it. Even in the darkest corners of your life, the light is not afraid to enter. Even in the places where you've hidden the truth, truth still knocks. And the moment you let it in, everything begins to change. Not always instantly, not always visibly, but deeply, truly. The kind of change that doesn't just clean up the surface, but revives the soul. Because you were never beyond reach. You were never truly alone. You were never too far gone to be found. True direction comes when you stop running and start listening. In the race of life, we often confuse speed with purpose. We move fast, we chase dreams, we keep ourselves busy thinking that productivity equals progress. We run from our fears, from our failures, from the silence that makes us confront who we really are. We fill our schedules, our minds, our hearts with noise, but in all that running, something begins to wear down inside us. The more we try to escape the stillness, the more lost we become. We chase clarity, but we avoid the quiet place where clarity is found. There's something uncomfortable about silence, especially when you've been running for a long time. Silence forces you to listen, not to the opinions of others, not to the pressure of culture, but to the still, small voice that's been trying to speak to your heart. That voice doesn't shout. It doesn't push. It waits. It waits until you finally stop, until you finally slow down long enough to hear what's been true all along. And the moment you listen, not just with your ears, but with your soul, you realize that direction was never far from you. It was just crowded out by all the distractions. Many people think direction comes from doing more, achieving more, figuring things out on their own. But real direction often comes when you stop striving and start surrendering, when you stop demanding answers and start asking deeper questions. Not just what should I do, but who am I becoming? Not just where am I going, but why am I going there? These aren't questions that can be answered in the rush of life. They require reflection. They require honesty. They require listening. Listening means humbling yourself. It means admitting that you don't have it all figured out. It means being willing to hear something that might challenge you, correct you, or even call you higher. It means letting go of the illusion that you're in control of everything, because control isn't the same as direction. You can control your schedule down to the minute and still not know what your life is really about. True direction flows from a deeper place, a place of alignment, of purpose, of clarity, that doesn't shift with every new trend or opinion. When you stop running, you begin to notice things you couldn't see before. The weight you've been carrying, the pain you've been ignoring, the longing in your heart that success couldn't satisfy. You start to see the broken patterns that kept repeating themselves. You begin to recognize the lies you've believed about who you are and what you're worth. And in that moment of stillness, truth has space to speak. Truth about your value, truth about your purpose, truth about the path you were always meant to walk. Listening is not passive, it's powerful. It realigns your perspective. It restores your strength. It reminds you of what actually matters. It reconnects you to your true source of guidance. Because direction is not just about where you're headed geographically, it's about where your heart is rooted. You could be standing still on the outside and moving forward on the inside. You could be going nowhere by the world's standards, but going deeper than ever into who you were made to be. Stopping doesn't mean giving up. It means becoming aware. It means trading panic for peace, anxiety for assurance, restlessness for rootedness. And from that place, real direction begins to rise. It doesn't always come as a lightning bolt. Sometimes it comes as a whisper, a nudge, a quiet conviction, but it comes. And it's enough to take the next step, not in fear, but in faith. Because when you stop running, you realize you were never meant to figure it all out alone. You were meant to walk in step with something greater. And when you start listening, you start hearing the voice that's been guiding you all along, even through the noise, even through the doubt, even through the detours. So if you feel lost in life, if the path ahead seems blurred and the weight within feels too heavy to bear, know this: you are not alone. The emptiness, the confusion, the ache for something more, these aren't signs that you're broken beyond repair. They are signs that you're ready for something deeper, something real. The world will offer temporary comforts, fleeting moments of satisfaction, but they won't fill the longing in your soul. That longing points to something eternal, to a purpose greater than what you can see, to a calling that isn't about perfection but redemption. There is a reason your heart still beats, a reason you're still here. Even in your lowest moments, you are seen. Even in your silence, you are heard. And even when you feel far gone, you are never too far to be found. The truth is, the turning point isn't when you find all the answers. It's when you stop running, when you allow yourself to listen, to be still, to be honest. It's there that the light begins to break through. Not because everything suddenly makes sense, but because you realize you don't have to figure it all out alone. There is grace for your past, strength for your present, and hope for your future. This moment, right now, can be the beginning of a new direction, not led by fear, but by faith. You don't need to have all the pieces together. You just need to take the first step with a heart that's willing. Because when you're ready to stop striving and start listening, you'll hear the quiet but powerful truth that's been calling your name all along. You are not lost. You're on your way home.